public relations manager. We're on this project with Miriam, our public health master's student who's interning with us this semester. Miriam put together this great presentation we hope you all will find pretty relevant during these times. And so Miriam, whenever you're ready, I think you can go ahead and get started. It looks like people are kind of settled in now.
Hi everyone, good afternoon. My name is Miriam and I'm a current MPH student at Wayne State. And today's webinar, I hope you will all get something out of it. It's going to be about the healthy nutrition during the COVID-19 pandemic. We will be discussing many topics such as food hygiene, food portions, and daily calorie intakes, what to look for on food labels, and tips on what we should be eating more and less of during the pandemic. Our goals are to encourage healthier eating choices at home, self-reflection of eating behaviors, having a healthier diet during the pandemic, and understanding what is good nutrition and healthy eating habits. Good nutrition is critical for good health, especially when our immune system is required to fight back diseases. As nations are undertaking measures to combat the COVID-19 virus, temporary closure of businesses and self-quarantine may impact the traditional food-related practices. In many countries and in the US, restaurants are being limited and fresh products are becoming unavailable. Insufficient fresh food access can compromise opportunities of an unhealthier diet, which results in an increase in highly processed food consumption, which is more likely to be higher in sugar, salts, and fats. And there are various strategies to make our nutritional health better during the COVID-19 pandemic. Making a plan during the pandemic is important to avoid panic purchasing, which can negatively impact certain food consumption, an increase in food prices, and an unequal distribution of goods. Good planning will lead to an understanding of what is needed to create a family plan. For example, shorter life of shelf foods should not be purchased in large quantities to avoid unnecessary wastage. This will guarantee the sufficient supply of the nutrients required for our body to boost our immune system and fight the virus. Safe food handling is a prerequisite for a healthier diet and food security. While preparing for our food, it is critical to follow appropriate food hygiene practices to avoid contamination and foodborne illnesses. It is also good to keep kitchen utensils and hands clean, while our food should also be prepared, thoroughly cooked, and kept at safe temperatures. In this diagram, we can see the 10 principles of safe food handling and hygiene, which include sanitizing, food storage, acquiring food from safe sources, developing and following the hazard analysis critical control points, training and development, heating or cooling food properly, controlling the time and temperature of the food, preventing cross-contamination, practicing proper hygiene, and cooking. In this diagram, we can see that potential resources are responsible for our malnutrition. During the pandemic, around the world, resources may have not been distributed evenly. And as you can see, the economical structure is what is dependent on the potential resources of a community. Without enough resources and control of it, it will lead to an inadequate education, leading to an increase of malnutrition of families and friends. It is important to know what our daily calorie intake is. So we ask ourselves, what exactly is a calorie? A calorie is the heat that is needed to raise the temperature of 1 gram of water by 1 degree Celsius. And our calories in our food are what provides us energy in the form of heat so that our bodies can function. Our bodies store calories and burn them as fuel. An estimated range of daily calories for adult women should be around 1,600 to 2,400 calories a day, and for men it should be around 2,000 to 3,000 calories a day. So in simpler words, 3,500 calories can equal to 1 pound of fat. For others, people look for products that say light, which usually have at least a third fewer calories than the regular food, according to the National Institute of Health. We can use different apps such as MyFitnessPal, Lose It, or Fat Secret to count how many calories we take in daily. What are nutritional labels?
Please make sure that you are muted. Okay, I think it looks like Miriam's having some technical difficulties with the sound. So basically with nutritional labels, you'll find these as required by the Food and Drug Administration to be on foods in the US. It's important that you become familiar with nutrition facts labels to find out how much fat is in the foods you eat.
We can also take a look at the label, and the first thing we see is the serving size of the foods that we're going to eat. And we can see the calories, total fat, and cholesterol and sodium per serving. On the bottom of the label, we can see that it says percent of the daily values and shows how much recommended amounts of calories we should eat in the serving. So there are two different types of fats that we intake. There are good fats and there are bad fats. The bad fats are the saturated fats and are typically the ones that are at solid during room temperature, which are things that are like French fries, donuts, cooking, pastries, and canola oil. And the good fats are the ones that are usually liquid and are from plant resources. The bad fats are the ones that are called trans fats that can increase disease risks in our bodies. The total intake of energy should be around 30% of 10% of what should be saturated fat. So the bad fats should be only around 10% of daily fat intake. We can reduce taking fats by grilling, steaming, or sautéing our foods and not using things such as frying our foods. It is also important to understand how much we eat and when we're supposed to be eating during the day. Sometimes it may get hard to get portion sizes right, especially when starting to cook from scratch or from home. Staying at home for a longer period of time limits our activities and our company of people and may lead to overeating, so we should become more familiar with dietary guidelines to know what constitutes health portions for adults and children. This information may be available in the individual's national food-based dietary directives, and a portion-controlled plate includes a half of the plate should be veggies and salads, a fourth of a good protein, and a fourth of carbohydrates, like in the image provided above. One of the apps or websites that we could use to remind ourselves about healthy eating and to find our healthy eating style is MyPlate. And MyPlate is a website or in a phone application that offers recipes, dietary guidelines, and how to eat healthier on a budget. Up to 43% of schools in Michigan use local and regional foods to serve healthier foods. And MyPlate inspired meals to kids, which is almost about $19.4 million invested in the local economy of Michigan. We can do things such as meal prep. So meal prep is a way to organize our meals to make them easier and more nutritional. There are 3 common types of meal prepping. The first is batch cooking, where you can make big recipes or big portions of your meals in your free time and saving them or freezing them to use them later on. The second is individually portioned meals, that's where you divide the portions into safe containers ahead of time so it will be easier to grab and go. And the third is prepped ingredients. This is when you prepare the ingredients for the recipes to make the recipes later. We also need to prioritize our fresh products. We can utilize fresh ingredients and products with shorter shelf lives first. When fresh products are considered to continue being available, like vegetables, fruits, and reduced fat dairy commodities, we should prioritize these over the non-perishable items. Frozen vegetables and fruits may be used for an extended period and have the same nutrients such as fresh foods. But fresh products, we can use them as freezing and serve them as a better option during the pandemic when people are quarantined in their homes. The World Health Organization, the WHO, advises consumption of 400 grams of vegetables and fruits per day. You can eat things such as citrus fruits, such as grapefruits, oranges, apples, and bananas, which can be frozen for future consumption, even in quarantine. Vegetables such as root vegetables like turnips, carrots, and beets are usually non-perishable. And other vegetables such as broccoli, cabbage, and cauliflower can also be mixed with ginger, garlic, and onions, which make great alternatives to keep at home during the pandemic. We can also take things such as vitamins, such as fiber and vitamin K and A and C, but please talk to your doctor to see if vitamin supplements are right for you. Frozen fruits like pineapples, mangoes, and berries have high fiber levels and vitamins that are mostly cheaper than fresh fruits. These fruits may be added to smoothies or porridges or juices and can be taken with reduced fat plain yogurt after they're defrosted. Frozen vegetables are very nutritious and easy to prepare, and consuming frozen vegetables can reach the required recommendations even when fresh foods are less available. And if you have a sweet tooth, you can use fresh fruits are the best options. Canned and frozen fruits and juices, and as well as dried fruits with added sugar can also be a good alternative. But it's also important to minimize the amount of honey or sugar added to our foods and beverages. Canned vegetables and fruits such as spinach, mushrooms, tomatoes, and green beans are good options for extended shelf life and guarantee sufficient supply over the quarantine period. But we also need to recall choosing alternatives with minimal or zero salt added, which we can use things such as like fish, like sardines and tuna, which are great protein resources and have healthy fat sources. Spending a long time at home as a measure to reduce the virus provides an opportunity to make delicious and nutritious meals when we were unavailable to do that before. There are many healthy recipes available online today, and you can utilize them and experiment with the ingredients and make the recommended healthy diets to boost our immune system. And this is something that we need, especially during this time. It is also important to limit our salt intake. Many of the frozen and processed foods and even canned foods have high salt levels. The WHO recommends that we eat less than 5 grams of salt per day. But it is good to prioritize food with no added or reduced salt. Canned foods like beans and vegetables can be rinsed to remove the additional sodium, and it is good to avoid eating salt while cooking. We can consider some of the foods that we buy enough usually comes with salt, but we can also use things such as fried, dried, and fresh herbs that can be used to add flavor to our food instead of using salt. So fiber consumption. Fiber is a nutrient which is plant-based, which is also called bulk. It can be broken down into digestible sugar molecules, and it plays a big role in our healthy digestive system and provides a prolonged fullness feeling, which assists in preventing overeating. We need to make sure that there's enough fiber intake. We can also eat things such as fruits and whole grain foods such as rice, oats, and whole wheat bread. One of the most important things is to stay hydrated, especially to keep us healthier. We can use tap water, which is the cheapest and healthiest for us to be drinking, but we need to make sure that our tap water is as clean as bottled water. Drinking water is a simple way to minimize sugar and access calorie intake. We could enhance the taste of water by adding things such as fruits and berries or even herbs like lavender or mint in our water. We should avoid taking large amounts of strong tea, coffee, and energy drinks because they can result in dehydration and negatively affect a person's sleeping patterns. So some tips on drinking more water include drinking a glass of water first thing in the morning when you wake up, having a water bottle with you wherever you go, taking water breaks, especially when you're at work or working from home, or you can eat your water by eating things such as fruits and vegetables. And one other tip is to track how much water we intake, and we can do that by having apps such as Daily Water, Hydro Coach, and Water Meter. Consuming alcohol in moderation is important because it can weaken our immune system and it undermines the ability of the body to fight and cope with infectious diseases. Alcohol impacts our mental state, which makes our decision poorer, which is risky during the pandemic. Alcohol consumption is associated with increasing symptoms of anxiety and depression. And consuming alcohol must not be part of our diet for a healthy lifestyle. According to the 2015 to 2020 U.S. Dietary Guidelines for Americans, it is recommended for women to drink no more than 1 cup of alcohol per day and no more than 2 per day for men and only adults of legal age. As you can see in the picture, it says how many fluid ounces are considered a drink. So 5 fluid ounces of table wine is considered a drink. 1.5 fluid ounces of distilled spirits is considered a drink because it has 40% alcohol. 12 fluid ounces of regular beer is considered a drink because it has 5% alcohol. And 8 to 9 fluid ounces of liquor is considered a drink because of the 7% of alcohol inside. So what to do during quarantine, during the pandemic? Exercising has a big impact on our immune system, and we can remain active to support our immune system in various ways, like increasing our immune cells, decreasing inflammation, and positively affecting the human body. All of these ways are important into defending mechanisms of our body. An individual with a weak immunity is at high risk of contracting COVID-19 and a low ability to fight the infection. When the individual with a weak immunity contracts the virus, it becomes more severe as it affects more body organs, causing more body damage.
Hey.
The World Health Organization recommends that people should have around 30 minutes of physical activity per day for adults and 1 hour for children. We could do things as going outside for a run or a walk or walking the dog and but we need to make sure that we maintain safe distance from others. If one cannot go out, we can make sure we can do things as exercising using videos online, yoga, dancing, or walking around the house. We can do these activities and become more physically fit and active, which is critical for boosting our immune system. So what can we start doing now during the COVID-19 to help our nutrition and overall health? First, we need to give ourselves a mental and physical break. We need to think about working and going to school and taking care of family or home during the pandemic, which thinking about only that makes it stressful enough. We need to start taking care of ourselves better by measuring what we eat, when we eat it, and how we eat it. We can do things such as staying hydrated or track our water intake, monitor or learn about portion sizing using My Plate guidelines, learn what is in our food by checking and looking at food labels, and we can also track our food by using apps such as MyFitnessPal and make it as a fun activity with friends and family to understand our food intake. We can begin finding ways to move our bodies, and we can make it more with families and friends. We need to make sure that we are living a healthier lifestyle. It has been hard during these past months to truly be healthier, and we need to make sure that being healthy does not only include the food that we eat and our daily exercise, but we need to make sure that our mental state is as healthy as well. And I want to thank all of you guys for watching, and if you have any questions, please let me know.
Okay, so if there aren't any questions, I think we will go ahead and conclude today's meeting. If you are interested in sending some questions and you don't want to talk about it in the meeting right now, that's totally fine. You can just email us at campushealth@wayne.edu. Let us know that you were on the webinar, and we'll get back to you in the next couple of days. Thank you all so much for joining us, and we hope that you stay well.
Thank you so much, everyone.